If you're new to ham radio or GMRS, you might not know that there are things that you can add to your handheld radio to make it a little bit easier to use. We're going to go over some of those accessories right now on Kemp Outside. Hey guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. Today I want to talk about some of the accessories you can add to a handheld radio to make it a little bit easier to use or give you some kind of functionality that you don't have when it's just in its standard configuration. Guys, I'm going to use my TIDRadio TD-803 that I absolutely love and is in my Go Pack all the time. This is the radio that goes with me almost everywhere I go. Anytime I take my bag, this radio is inside. And so having some accessories, depending on what I want to do, is a really good idea. And so, full disclosure, TIDRadio contacted me and said, hey, would you like to highlight some of the accessories you can add to a GMRS or a ham radio? And I said, sure, that sounds like an excellent video, something that I've been thinking about. So they sent me a couple of accessories, and I'm going to put affiliate links to all this stuff below, guys, so you can pick this stuff up if you want it. We're going to talk about a couple of antenna options as well as a speaker mic. So let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to show you what TIDRadio sent me. The first thing that they sent me was one of their big antennas. And so I'm going to open it up here. And so a question is why might you want a bigger antenna than the one that comes with the radio? Well, bigger isn't always better, guys, so I want to get that out of the way. But if you have a longer antenna than the stock antenna, and that antenna is also tuned for the bands or the frequencies that you are using, in general, a longer antenna will get you farther transmit and, in some cases, better receive, right? So in the case of the TIDRadio TD-803, right, it is a dual band radio, so it operates on both the 2-meter ham band and the 70-centimeter ham band, as well as you can program it for GMRS, which is a frequency just above the 70-centimeter ham band. What you're going to want is you're going to want an antenna that's tuned for those frequencies, tuned for those bands, but offers you the maximum amount of length for that tuning. And so if we remove the stock antenna and we go with something a little longer like this, right, you're probably going to get, all things being equal, farther transmit distance and better reception. Now, this one is the TIDRadio TD-771, and it says it's tuned for 144 and 430 megahertz. So on the bottom of it, there's a red disc in there, and it says it's actually tuned for 136 to 174 megahertz and 400 to 480 megahertz. So this antenna can be used in the 2-meter ham band. If you have a marine VHF radio that takes this antenna connector, it would work in the marine VHF band. It would work in the MURS band, multi-user radio service band. It works in 70-centimeter ham band, as well as the GMRS and FRS channels. So really, really handy antenna to have. You got to think about when you want to use this, right? Because the length is a compromise, right? If I attach this antenna, which is a much bigger antenna, to the admittedly really small radio that is the TD-803, right? You have a big, I gotta even get it on the screen here. You got a big whip antenna for a small radio. When you're trying to maximize your range, this is a fantastic setup. And so maybe carrying an antenna like this in your pack is a great way to go, because you are trying to communicate with someone that's too far away. If you're not quite reaching them with the standard antenna, switching to something bigger, might help you out. But you might not want it on the radio all the time. Let's say you have it, if you have the radio, clipped to your hiking pack or something like that, and it's whacking you in the face, that might not be something that you want when you're on the hiking trail. So having extra antennas is a great way to set your radio up for your specific use case. Now, TIDRadio also sent me this little guy, which is their TD-805s antenna. So if that antenna is for, farther distance and that kind of thing, what's the short one for? Well, this antenna is great when you're just communicating short distances, right? So, let's say you're using GMRS, but you're communicating with a bunch of people that have FRS radios. So they're transmitting a half a watt compared to your, 2 watts or 5 watts. And they have short little stubby antennas, and so they're not going to get nearly the distance you are. You can put on an antenna like this and communicate with them just fine at close range. And you're not dealing with a big antenna that, especially if you're hiking on a trail where you're, this is hitting a bunch of branches and things, and you don't need this size antenna. Having something like this TD-805s is really handy. You know what else is really good? So if you are a ham radio operator and you're into your digital modes, and I know this is going to be confusing for some of you guys, so if you're not a ham radio operator and you don't know anything about digital modes, don't worry about it. But the bottom line is for people that have like DMR and, Yaesu, System Fusion, D-Star, that kind of thing, oftentimes there's a little computer in their house that connects to the internet, and it basically connects their radio to the internet. And your radio transmits back and forth to that little hotspot. Guys, if you're only transmitting inside your house or even inside your vehicle or that kind of thing to connect to that little computer, an antenna like this is perfect. So there are times when an antenna like this is the way to go. My use primarily is if I'm communicating with a bunch of people who have FRS radios, I don't want my signal to go, a whole lot farther than, where their signal can reach me. So I'll switch to that, and then I don't have to worry about it. I can set it on my pack or something like that. And I'm not worried about the antenna catching branches or hitting anything. So, having antenna options, right? So in this radio, right, I might have 3 antennas in my pack. I might go with the standard antenna the majority of the time. I'm not quite cutting it with this antenna. Need a little bit more range. I switch to the TD-771. If this antenna is, way too big or catching branches, or I don't need it, I just need to communicate, in the campground with a bunch of people carrying FRS radios, then I can switch to the TD-805s. This antenna, is also a VHF, UHF antenna, so it works on both 2 meters and 440. Guys, this is obviously a compromise. This is not going to get you, long distance. So, you really want to have the right antenna for the right use case, which is why carrying all 3 might not be a bad option. The last thing I want to show you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and just screw the stock antenna back on the radio here, is a speaker mic. And I love speaker mics because I find that they're very, very useful. What I like to do is I like to clip my radio to my pack when I'm hiking, and I don't want to have to unclip it every time I want to talk on it. The other thing is, guys, is a lot of times, if I'm trying to get a decent amount of distance with my radio, I have my radio transmitting on high power. And I don't like having an antenna this close to my face radiating full power as I'm talking into it, right? I'm basically trying to boil my eyeballs with RF radiation. I really like my eyes, so I try to keep my antenna and the radiating element of the radio away from my face. I just think that's a good idea. RF exposure is dangerous. Probably not a lot of danger, but if you're doing a lot of radio use, keeping that away from your face is probably a good idea. And that's where something like this really, really comes in handy. So this is a speaker mic. And on most radios, especially the TID radios, there are jacks on the side. So you open this door, right? You pull that down, and then you'll see there's a couple of holes there for this connector. This is a Kenwood K1 style connector, guys. There's different connectors, so not every speaker mic is going to match every radio. Keep that in mind. But if you get the TIDRadio speaker mic with the K1 connector, it's going to connect up to the TIDRadio radio. And then I can have this clipped, down on my belt, have this on my clipped to my shoulder strap on my pack. And then I can just either unclip it with the clip. And usually, guys, yep, these rotate, so I can clip it, I can clip it that way. I can clip it straight up and down. I can clip it on an angle, however you want to do it. But I can keep that radio down, and then I can go ahead and click the button and talk. My radio's not on, but basically it has the push to talk on the side, and it operates the radio just fine. And then that way, you don't have to mess with picking the radio up and putting it in front of your face to talk. The other thing that it does, guys, is it relocates the speaker. So it is not just a microphone, it's a speaker. So I can have the radio down on my belt, and if the volume or whoever's talking isn't that loud, if my radio's down on my belt, I might not hear it. But if the speaker is right here on my shoulder strap of my patch, or clipped to a pocket or something like that, or clipped to, you can even clip it up here if if you don't have anything to clip it to. It's closer to your ear. If you have your volume up, you're likely to hear it where you might not hear it otherwise. So speaker mics have a fantastic use for that kind of use case scenario. So I really, really like speaker mics. I try to use them quite a bit. I use them almost every time I'm hiking. I'll attach a speaker mic to my radio. And then the other thing I want to mention about this speaker mic, guys, is there's a little access plug right there on the side. And what that is for is, you can connect a little mono earpiece or something like that. So if you're in really noisy environments, some people use, radios for like running live sound in church environments, security scenarios, that kind of thing, where you don't want what's being transmitted audible over a speaker. If you click that or, clip this right to your shoulder and you run a little wire up from the speaker mic to an earbud, you can hear it just fine, and then, transmit on it without anybody else hearing it. So another really cool part of having a quality speaker mic. Guys, I really like the speaker mic. I think it's really, really well made. It feels comfortable in the hand. It's rather large, so it is comfortable, easy to use. It had good volume when I turned it on. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can get something here. 21. 20. That's just the radio. 19, 18, 17, 16. Good, clear. I'm just switching through radio channels, but nice and clear. Good audio. Really, really, and really well made. Good strain relief connectors. I don't think that and it's got good stretchy cords, so you can get some good distance on it if you need it. Really, really well made speaker mic. I really like this one a lot. And so this one is, according to the model number on the back, the TD-HM060 speaker mic. And like I said, I really like it. So guys, I'm going to put affiliate links to all this stuff below. I'm going to do the speaker mic. I'm going to do the TD-805s mini antenna. I'm going to do the TD-771 antenna. And guys, I'm going to put links both on Amazon and to TIDRadio's website. I am an affiliate for TIDRadio, guys. If you use any of these links, whether it's Amazon or TIDRadio links, I do get a little commission on the sale. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it's a great way to support my channel as I'm able to continue to bring these videos. This video is a continuation of a series on outdoor communications, guys. One of the things that I have been, trying to really pass on to folks is that, especially if you're spending time outside, because my channel is primarily an outdoor channel. If you're spending any time outside, eventually you're going to end up in places where you don't have cell phone signal. Do you have a communications plan so that you can communicate with your group? And in the case of an emergency, either call for help or respond to a call for help. So I highly, highly recommend that you get into handheld radios and look into what your options are regarding the radio services so that you have the right radio for your needs. So definitely check out my channel, check out the other videos that I have. Check out the video I have on the TD-H3. I'll put a link right up here where you can check that out. I highly recommend this radio, and I'll put an affiliate link, guys, to the TD-H3 as well, because it's like I said, it is the radio I carry when I go places. So it is my daily carry radio. Again, guys, if you have any questions, drop some in the comments below. Tell me what you think too. Like, what are your antenna choices when when you're out there? What antenna do you like to use? Do you like to switch it up? Do you like to use the stock antenna all the time? Do you switch to bigger and smaller antennas depending on use cases? What do you like to do? I would love to hear from you. Again, obviously, if you have any questions, drop something below. You can also connect with us at our other social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, or our website at kempoutside.com. Guys, again, hit that subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and ring that little bell that notifies you when we release new videos. We're going to have a lot more communication stuff coming up, especially in the new year, guys. I did a big push on radio comm stuff, then I took a break from it for a little while. We had a lot of other content to get out, but I'm going to continue with my outdoor comm stuff. I'm going to be reviewing some mobile antennas, some mag mount antennas. We're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff, and then we're also going to be doing field tests on radios. This winter, we're going to be doing distance tests for FRS versus GMRS, GMRS versus MERS. We're going to be doing antenna testing, all kinds of stuff. So if you like that kind of content, stay with us, because we're going to bring that stuff to you. Again, thanks to TIDRadio for sending me this stuff and giving me the idea to talk about some handheld radio accessories. Hope you enjoyed it. Guys, I got a lot more work to do, so I'm going to get back to it, but we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.